I slammed the phone down on the mahogany tablecloth, the clink of silverware around me dying like a bad joke. $25 million evaporated in the span of a single call. And all because my own blood decided the handicap stall was the best seat for the family black sheep. Tell Mr. Hargrove the deal's off, I'd hissed into the receiver. My voice barely above a whisper, but sharp enough to slice through the string quartet's rendition of some overplayed Ed Sheeran tune. Laughter erupted from the head table, my brother Ethan, beaming like a prom king in his rented tux. His new bride Lila draped over him like a designer scarf, and I wondered if they could hear the distant echo of empires crumbling over the flush of a toilet. It wasn't just the seating chart that broke me that night. No. That was the cherry on a shit sundae I'd been force-fed since I was 22. When I signed away 5 years of my life to cover for Ethan's fuck-up. The one that nearly tanked Dad's legacy. The one that left me rotting in a minimum security hellhole while he waltzed off to Wharton like nothing happened. Betrayal isn't a word, it's a slow bleed. And, tonight, under the crystal lights of the plaza, I finally cauterized the wound with a match made of spite. But let's back up. Because revenge isn't born in a ballroom, it's forged in the quiet rot of secrets you swallow whole. My name's Vivian Hale, and if you Google me, you'll find a LinkedIn profile polished to a sheen, CEO of Hale Tech Ventures, disruptor in fintech, Forbes 30 under 40 runner-up. What you won't find is the mugshot from 2012, scrubbed clean after a youthful indiscretion plea deal, or the fact that I clawed my way out of federal prison with nothing but a GED and a grudge the size of the Hudson. Prison's a great equalizer, strips you down to bone and sinew, teaches you that trust is just another currency to counterfeit. I learned to spot the marks early, the ones who smile too wide, who promise the moon but deliver a noose. Ethan was always the golden child. 6 years older, with Dad's jawline and Mom's charm, he glided through life like it owed him royalties. I was the afterthought, the girl who traded Barbies for circuit boards in the garage while he partied at Yale. Our family ran Hale Manufacturing out of a squat brick factory in Queens, auto parts for the big Detroit boys. Steady if unglamorous. Dad built it from scrap after Vietnam. Mom kept the books sharp as a switchblade. By high school, I was interning summers, dreaming of algorithms that could predict market dips before the suits even blinked. That's when Ethan started slipping. College loans piled up, girlfriends who cost more than his tuition, and a coke habit that turned weekend benders into 7-figure black holes. He came to me one humid August night in 2011, sweat beading on his forehead like confession dew. We were in the old office, fluorescent Buzz the only witness. "Viv," he said, voice cracking like a teenager's, "I need you to hold this for me." Just till I squared away. This was a ledger, falsified invoices, siphoned funds from supplier accounts, enough to feed his dragon and keep the Porsche payments current. 2 million gone. Poof. Into the ether of his nostrils and neon-lit VIP booths. The feds were closing in. A whistleblower in accounting had tipped them off. Dad would have had a stroke. Mom would have drunk herself into oblivion. Ethan begged, tears streaking his all-American face. "You're smart, Viv. You can fix this. Make it look like a glitch. A hack from overseas. I'll pay it back. Swear on Grandma's grave." I was 22, fresh out of MIT with stars in my eyes and a trust fund that barely covered ramen. But family? That's the original Ponzi scheme. Invest heavy, get burned light. I took the fall. Rewrote the code trails to point to a ghost server in Bucharest. Pled guilty to wire fraud as the sole perpetrator. 5 years at Alderson. The camp cupcake for white-collar witches. Ethan got a slap on the wrist, community service, daddy's connections, and a fast track to business school.
Inside.
Time stretched like taffy. I read every book in the library twice, taught myself Python on a smuggled laptop, networked with the other fallen angels, a Wall Street trader who'd insider traded her way to a penthouse view, a pharma exec cooking books for big pharma kickbacks. They called me the ghost because I'd vanish into the numbers, make audits dance to my tune. Parole came early, good behavior. Plus a judge who saw potential in my tearful testimony about poor choices. I walked out in 2016 with $47 in gate money and a chip on my shoulder the size of Manhattan. Rebuilding was surgical. I couch-surfed in Brooklyn, freelanced data analytics for startups too broke to background check. By 2018, I'd bootstrapped Hail Tech from my laptop, AI-driven fraud detection. Ironic as hell. Clients flocked, banks, insurers, even the feds on the down low. I bought a loft in Soho, traded prison khakis for Louboutins. But the grudge? It festered. A low-grade fever I dosed with black coffee and late-night spreadsheets.
Ethan?
He married into money. Lila Voss, trust fund princess from the Hamptons set, daddy a real estate mogul who'd turned Jersey swamps into condos overnight. They met at some gala, her in a gown that cost more than my first car, him spinning yarns about family legacy without the fine print. Wedding invites went out last fall, gold embossed. Save the date bullshit with a dress code stricter than Rikers. I RSVP'd yes. Because why not? Closure's a myth, but confrontation's an art form. The plaza was peak New York excess, marble floors veined like cracked ice. Waiters in penguin suits ferrying trays of caviar blinis. I arrived fashionably late. My black, sheath-hugging curves I'd earned in prison yoga. Hair pinned in a chignon that said, I own this room. Ethan spotted me first, that boyish grin faltering like a bad signal.
Viv.
You made it. Looking sharp. He air-kissed my cheek, reeking of bourbon and cologne. Lila hovered. Her smile a Botox miracle blonde, Pilates toned. The kind of woman who vacations in Aspen and posts it unfiltered. The seating chart was posted by the coat check, a laminated betrayal in Comic Sans. My name, Vivian Hale. Table 17. I scanned the map, head table for the bridal party. Prime real estate for aunts and investors. Table 17? Tucked in the alcove by the restrooms, next to the service door where busboys hauled trash. Across from the Voss cousins, notorious for their loud divorces and louder opinions. I felt the heat crawl up my neck, a flush I'd last known in the warden's office. Ethan caught my stare. Hey, it's just logistics.
Sis.
Venue's packed. You know how it is. Logistics. Like the ledgers I'd burned for him. Lila chimed in. All honeyed concern. We wanted you close too. Amenities. In case. In case of what? A relapse into my past mistakes. The implication hung. Toxic as secondhand smoke. I bit my tongue till it bled copper. Smiled through the ceremony. Vows exchanged under a floral arch that screamed, happily ever after, like a bad infomercial. Reception kicked off with toasts. Dad. Frail now with Parkinson's tremors. Mumbling pride through tears.
Mom.
Tipsy on Chardonnay. Gushing about new beginnings. Ethan's best man. A hedge fund bro. Cracked jokes about tying the knot tighter than a short squeeze. Laughter rippled, but I sat rigid, the porcelain echo of a flush punctuating every punchline. That's when I made the call. Hargrove Partners, my white whale. A $25 million contract for Hailtech's latest suite, fraud-proofing their crypto trades. They'd been waffling. CEO dickering over NDAs like a yard sale hag. My phone buzzed mid-salad course, his assistant.
Confirming dinner next week.
Instead of yes, I said no. Tell him the deal's dead. Effective immediately. Her gasp was audible over the violin swell. I hung up, heart pounding like a gavel. Ethan's eyes met mine across the room, confusion knitting his brow.
Good.
Let him wonder. The entrees arrived, filet mignon bleeding pink on fine china, and I picked at mine, plotting the next incision. The fallout hit like a nor'easter the next morning. My inbox was a war zone. Hargrove's CEO firing off emails laced with unprofessional and reevaluate partnership. Board members at Hailtech CC'd in, panic bubbling like bad coffee. Vivian. What the hell? From my COO. A no-nonsense ex-cop named Ramirez who'd vetted my parole papers. I drafted a response, cool. Corporate spin about strategic misalignment, but deleted it. Truth was, this wasn't business, it was bloodletting. I holed up in my loft, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the gray sprawl of Soho. Rain lashed the glass, turning pedestrians into smudged watercolors. Coffee went cold as I pulled files, digital ghosts from the old days. Ethan's trail. The one I'd buried deeper than Jimmy Hoffa. Not everything vanished in prison. I'd stashed backups on encrypted drives. A digital doomsday prep. There it was. Wire transfers to shell accounts in the Caymans. Timestamps matching his frat boy escapades. Lila's name popped too, early. Innocuous. A Venmo to Yach. Fun fund for girls' weekend. Coincidence? Or complicity? Lila Voss wasn't the airhead she played. Wharton MBA. Junior exec at her dad's firm. Voss Developments. I'd clocked her type in prison. The enablers. Women who laundered sins through charm and checkbooks. A quick LinkedIn dive showed connections. Mutual friends with Ethan's coke dealer. Now a wellness coach in Miami. I fired off a text to my PI. Jax, a grizzled ex-NYPD with a nose for dirt and a fee that bought silence. Dig on Lila Voss. Everything. Days blurred into stakeouts and spite-fueled sprints on the treadmill. Hailtech stock dipped 3%. Analysts whispering, founder volatility. I charmed back with podcasts and panels, dropping lines about resilience that masked the rage. Ethan called twice, voicemails bubbly with brotherly BS. Wedding was epic.
Right?
Lila's asking when you're coming out to the Hamptons. I let them rot unheard. Jax delivered a week later. Over greasy dim sum in Chinatown. Dossier thick as a Bible. Photos of Lila and Ethan at underground raves. Her handing off envelopes to sketchy types. Bank records showing her funneling gifts from Daddy's slush fund to plug Ethan's holes. The kicker? An email chain from 2011, her advising him on the fraud. Words like pivot the blame and your sister's expendable. Expendable. The word lodged in my throat like bone. I confronted them at brunch. Neutral ground, a Tribeca spot with avocado toast and overpriced lattes. Ethan arrived first. Man bun and athleisure screaming midlife crisis at 35.
Viv.
Long time. Hug attempt deflected. Lila swept in 10 minutes late. Apologies dripping like honey. We ordered eggs for them, black coffee for me, and I slid the dossier across the linen. Pages fanned like a bad hand. Ethan's face drained to latte foam. What is this? Lila snatched a page, eyes narrowing behind oversized shades. Slander. You hack this. Truth's not a hack, I said, voice steady as a surgeon's. You too orchestrated it. The fraud. The frame job. I did 5 years for your powder parties and her daddy's dirty deals. Denials flew, Ethan stammering about misunderstandings, Lila hissing legalese like a cornered cat. Prove it in court.
Vivian.
Our lawyers eat skeletons like yours for breakfast. But cracks showed, his fidgeting hands, her averted gaze. I leaned in, the scent of her Chanel cutting through the bacon haze. I'm not here for jail time. I'm here for equity. Hail Tech is expanding into real estate tech, your dad's playground. I want in 20% stake. Or this hits the Times op-ed page. Eris's dirty secrets, how the Voss empire built on borrowed bones. Ethan's laugh was hollow. Blackmail? That's low. Even for you. Low? Coming from the man who'd traded my freedom for a trust fund top-up. Lila's eyes gleamed, calculating. Not scared. We counter. 10%. And you sign an NDA. Family stays family. I walked out with 15%. Their signatures inked before mimosas hit the table. Victory tasted like ash. But it was a start. The beast stirred. Hunger sharpening. Months ground on. A chess match in stilettos. Voss Developments inked the deal. My AI optimizing their land flips, spotting zoning loopholes, predicting NIMBY backlash. Revenue spiked. But so did the surveillance. Jax tailed Lila to meetings with shadier sorts, Russian oligarch proxies. Whispers of money laundering through Hampton's flips. Ethan? He flipped too, cozying up at board drinks, probing my margins like a jealous ex. Heard Hargrove's back in play. Bury the hatchet yet? I smiled.
Teeth bared.
Hatches are for amateurs. Behind the scenes, I leaked breadcrumbs, anonymized tips to SEC watchdogs. Forum posts on Reddit's r/conspiracy seeding doubt. Nothing stuck. But the paranoia bloomed. Lila's calls turned curt. Ethan's invites dried up. Holiday cards arrived and signed. Then the pivot, Ethan's surprise visit to my loft. Bourbon bottle in hand, eyes red-rimmed. Viv, we need to talk. Lila's
Changing.
The baby's coming, and she's talking divorce. Says the past is haunting her. Baby. The word punched low. He paced my Persian rug, spilling regrets like cheap wine. I was weak. Sis. She pushed me into it, the fraud. All of it. I thought we were building something. Now she's icing me out, using the kid as leverage. Sympathy? A flicker. Quickly smothered. But opportunity? Electric. What do you want from me? He stopped. Desperate. Help me expose her. Get dirt. Make it clean for the custody fight. I'll testify about the frame job. Everything. Make it right. Flip. The golden boy turned state's evidence, selling out his queen for a pawn's mercy. I nodded slow, mind racing. All right. But it's my play. You follow my lead, or you're both roadkill. We shook on it, his palm clammy as a plea bargain. As he left, rain sluicing the streets below, I felt the noose loosen. Revenge wasn't a solo act, it was a con. And I'd just recruited my mark. Spring thawed New York into a steam bath, but my blood ran glacial. Ethan fed me intel like a junkie chasing fixes, Lila's calendar syncs, burner phone logs, even a hidden camera feed from their brownstone. She was deeper than I'd guessed, ties to a syndicate laundering narco cash through luxury builds. Voss fronts for cartel condos in Jersey. The baby? A complication. Ultrasound pics showing a girl due in July. Ethan softened. Talking names, Emma. After mom, but I tuned it out. Sentiment was a luxury I couldn't afford. Hail tech boomed. My stake in Voss ballooning to 22% after a hostile nudge at the AGM. I played the long game. Board seats. Whispers to investors about governance risks. Lila fought dirty smear campaigns via PR firms. Anonymous posts on Glassdoor painting me as unstable ex-con. It stung. But I countered with charm offensives. TEDx talks on redemption in code. Donations to women's prisons that bought headlines and halos. The climax brewed at the annual Hale family retreat, Dad's tradition. A weekend at their lake house upstate. Adirondacks air crisp with pine and pretense. The kind of place where fortunes hide in the woodwork. I drove up in my Tesla. Ethan and Lila already there. Tension thick as fog off the water. Dad grilled burgers on the deck. Tremors making the tongs dance. Mom hovered with gin and tonics. Eyes glassy. Vivian. Honey. You look driven. Dinner was a minefield, small talk about stocks and schools. Ethan's jokes falling flat. Lila excused herself mid-meal. Morning sickness, but Jax's text buzzed. Her Range Rover peeling out toward Albany. I slipped away after pie, tailing her to a nondescript warehouse off I-87, Voss storage. Per the plates. From the trioline, I watched. Black SUVs circling. Men in cheap suits unloading crates stamped electronics. Guns glinted under floodlights. Lila oversaw it all. Clipboard in hand. Barking orders in clipped Russian. Jackpot. I filmed it discreetly. iPhone steady on a branch. 30 minutes of enough to bury empires. Cartel ties. Money mules. The works. Heart hammering. I ghosted back. Footage uploaded to my secure vault. Ethan waited on the porch when I returned, cigarette trembling in his fingers. She's meeting them tonight. I knew it. We plotted by firelight. Dad, snoring inside. Mom lost to ambient dreams. We go public, he urged. Feds. Press, nail her. But I saw the angles. Lila down. Voss crumbles. Our family deal evaporates. No. This needed finesse. We leverage. Demand she signs over controlling interest, or the video drops. Custody. Assets, all yours. His nod was eager, but doubt flickered. What about you? The fraud. It comes out too. I shrugged. I've worn worse stains. Dawn broke bloody. And we drove back to the city in convoy, me leading, them trailing like ducklings to slaughter. Lila's office loomed in midtown, glass tower piercing the haze. We cornered her in the executive suite, Ethan clutching the baby's sonogram like a shield. It's over. Lila, he said, voice steel for once. I cued the video on the conference screen, grainy proof of her midnight sins. Her laugh chilled the AC hum. Amateurs. She didn't flinch, just poured scotch from the sideboard.
Neat.
You think this is news? Daddy's been playing these games since Reagan. You, to me, the ex-con crusader? Your hands aren't clean. That Hargrove deal you tanked? I pulled strings, made sure they seated you by the shitter. A little push. And look, you self-destructed. 25 mil.
Poof.
Boards whispering reckless. The room spun. She'd orchestrated the wedding slight? Petty, but potent, baiting my trigger. Costing me millions in one flushed night. Ethan gaped.
You.
Why? Survival. Darling. She sipped. Eyes on him. You were always the weak link. Blaming you for the old mess kept the heat off me.
But now?
With a baby? She touched her belly. Almost tender. I protect mine. Flip again. Ethan's face crumpled, betrayed by the betrayer. He lunged, but I held him back. The boardroom a pressure cooker ready to blow. Sign it. I pressed. Sliding contracts across mahogany. Voss to Hailtech.
Clean break.
Or this hits Interpol by lunch. She scanned the pages. Pen hovering. Then, the twist. Her smile widened.
Predatory.
Or we merge. All in your tech. My networks. We build something unbreakable. The three of us. Partners. Expose me. And it all burns. Your brother's custody. Your precious redemption arc. Feds don't care about old grudges. They'll bury you both as accessories. The offer hung. Venom sweet. Merge. Unite the poison with the cure. Profit from the rot. Ethan's eyes pleaded. Family. Finally whole. But me? The math didn't add. Trust her. And I'd choke on the noose I'd tied myself. I countered. Voice ice. 25% more. And Ethan walks with full custody. No strings. She agreed. Signatures flowing like compromise. Handshakes sealed it cold. Clinical. As we left, Ethan clapped my shoulder. You did it.
Viv.
We're free.
Free.
The word mocked as I rode the elevator down. City lights smearing like tears. Word count, 1005. File 4. The merger announcement dropped like a grenade. Hailtech acquires Voss Developments in $150 million power play. Wall Street ate it up, headlines crowning me the queen of comebacks. Ethan, the family heir reunited. Lila played the part. Cooing at pressers with a bump that screamed legacy in the making. Baby Emma arrived in August. A squalling pink bundle delivered via C-section at Mount Sinai. Ethan sent pics. Gushing texts. She's perfect. Thanks to you. I demurred. Buried in integration. My algorithms scrubbing Voss's ledgers. Laundering code over cache trails. Profits soared. AI flipped properties in Brooklyn. Blockchain secured syndicates that mask the grime. But sleep evaded. Haunted by warehouse shadows and Lila's laugh. Jax kept tabs, her retirement from ops. But whispers of side deals. Burner apps pinging late nights. Fall turned the leaves to fire. And doubt to inferno. Ethan called one crisp October evening. Voice hushed over the baby monitor's static. Viv. Something's off. Lila's vanishing axe says it's prenatal yoga. But I tailed her once. Back to that warehouse. Paranoia or prescience. I dispatched drones. Hailtech's latest toy. Eyes in the sky confirming. Crates moving. Her silhouette directing like a ghost conductor. We met at a dive in Hell's Kitchen. Away from mics and mirrors. Ethan looked hollowed, stubble shadowing his jaw. Eyes darting like a con on the lamb. She's double-dipping. Using our merger to scale the cartel side. I found docs, offshore wires. Millions rerouted. He shoved a USB.
Trembling.
We end it. Go to the feds now. The old fire reignited. But twisted. And Emma? Child Services. Headlines. Heiress's baby in crossfire. He deflated. What choice do we have? It's poison.
Choice.
The word echoed my prison cell. Bargain struck in whispers. I pocketed the drive. Promised action. But alone in the booth, nursing a whiskey neat, I saw the board, expose her, and the empire we'd built, my redemption. His fatherhood crumbled.
Or.
Absorb it. Turn Hail Tech into something darker. Untouchable. Profitable. Lila knew. She cornered me at the holiday gala. Rockefeller glow. Tree lights twinkling like lies. Ethan schmoozed donors. Emma in a sitter's arms. We slipped to a balcony. City wind whipping her for stole. You're stalling, she accused. Cigarette glowing like accusation. Ethan's drive? I planted it.
Bait. Vivian.
To see if you'd bite. My stomach nodded. Game's over. But she leaned close. Breath smoke and spite. Is it? That video you have. It's useless without context. I know about the original fraud. Your tweaks to the code? Not just covering. You skimmed $200K for your parole fund. Pocket change. But enough to make you an accomplice. We all have dirt. Darling.
Question is,
Who bleeds more? The twist gutted me, not her flip, but mine.
yeah,
I'd skimmed, a severance for my silence. Wire to a college fund I'd never touch. Survival. I'd told myself. Now it stared back. Mirror to her sins. No heroes here. Just survivors scraping the barrel. I could have ended it then. Pulled the trigger on the video. Watched her fall. Feds would have swarmed. Voss imploded. Hail Tech scarred but standing. Ethan got Emma. A clean slate stained with custody wars.
me,
Back to square one. The ex-con who torched her own bridge. Instead, I exhaled fog into the night.
truce.
We run it clean, your networks. My tech. No more ghosts. Her nod was wary. Alliance forged in mutual muzzle. For the baby, she said. And the business. Weary entered the fray arm in arm. Toasts raised to unbreakable bonds. Ethan caught my eye. Confusion melting to relief. No storm. Just status quo. As confetti rained and champagne popped, I felt the weight. Victory. Or just another cage gilded fresh. Months later. Hail Tech hit unicorn status. Emma's first steps captured in family pics, us four. Posed like a glossy ad. But in quiet hours, scrolling encrypted chats, I wonder, did I avenge? Or just evolve the beast? Readers, you decide, was it justice? Or just another American hustle, where betrayal's the real inheritance? The end? Open? Like the skyline, endless. Unforgiving. Yours to judge.